international diplomacy, or managing one of the largest or the largest Holocaust archives in the world, or indeed our subject today, which is dealing with social media and the media in general. It's a huge pleasure for me to hand over to Stephan-Andreas Casdorff, and I will be literally doing so because he's sitting right beside me. He is well known to you all. You can see a little bit of his shoulder as the editor of the Tagesspiegel, the German daily newspaper, but he is also the vice chair of the Friends of Yad Vashem. And I am very grateful to him for his amazing support and his agreement to come today and do this event. Before I hand over, I would like to thank Iris Rosenberg, our speaker today, for taking this on alongside a very, very grueling work schedule, taking the time to talk to us this afternoon. Thank you both very much. I wish you a stimulating hour, and I hand over to you, Stephan.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very polite, very polite. So nice words. Yeah, being a publisher of the Tagesspiegel isn't so wonderful like being a vice chair of the Freundeskreis Yad Vashem, the Friends of Yad Vashem. So it's an honor for me to, really an honor, and it's a pleasure to introduce to you Iris Rosenberg, who is the spokesperson of Yad Vashem. We ran into each other several years ago because a group of editors-in-chief came to Yad Vashem to learn, and we were deeply moved by all we saw. And, we met so many wonderful, interesting, knowledgeable, skillful, charming people, and among them, most of all, was Iris Rosenberg. And from that time on, we spent time together. So I'm very happy. You are a spokesperson for 24 years now. It's an era, you know. It's more than Donald Trump ever. You talked about your experiences with Donald Trump as well, because you're responsible for everything, even the things abroad. People from the United States come to you and want to know how did he behave, this Donald. So maybe you can tell us something about your work. It's about social media, it's about the press, it's about print and online and everything. You are the director and the spokesperson. You are the one. You are the one. It's the communications division, and I would like to know from you what it is all about. And you are going to tell us something, and then there are question and answers, and if not, I answer you a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephan. Thank you for this very kind introduction. And thank you, Ruth and the Freundeskreis team for organizing this and for inviting me to speak. And thank you, everyone, for participating. I recognize some names and faces from past seminars. So I will like to start my talk. I will share my presentation, my PowerPoint. And I would like to start my talk today with a short story about this young Jewish boy, Zalman Levinson, who was born in 1932 in Riga, Latvia, to mother Frida and father Zelig. Frida's sister, Zalman's aunt, Agnes, immigrated to the land of Israel in 1936. But the family kept in touch, and Frida used to send letters to Agnes, her sister, in Israel, and telling her about the life in Riga. Also, little Zalman used to send drawings that he drew to his aunt with the first words he learned in Hebrew he wrote. He also picked up leaves in Riga and dried them and sent them as a souvenir to his aunt, Agnes. In April 1941 was the last time that Agnes received a letter from Frida. At the same year, after the invasion of German Nazis to the former USSR, the whole Levinson family was murdered. In 1955, Agnes filled in pages of testimony in memory of her beloved family members who were murdered in the Holocaust and submitted them to Yad Vashem, including, of course, she commemorated little Zalman, who was only 9 years old when he was murdered. In 2013, Agnes' daughter gave to Yad Vashem for posterity the photos and the letters her mother received from her family. Zalman's story is presented at a Yad Vashem online exhibition about children in the Holocaust. The stories of the children, like Zalman, who were murdered in the Holocaust or endured the horrors of the Holocaust, was made available by my team, not only through Yad Vashem website, but also to hundreds of thousands through our social media platform. Actually, also through media outlets and other Yad Vashem's channels and platforms. Actually, half of my division staff is the digital department, which is responsible for Yad Vashem comprehensive website in 8 languages. We also devote a great deal of time and resources to leverage the power of new media and social networking. We manage Yad Vashem social media channels, such as Yad Vashem YouTube in 8 languages, Facebook in 2 languages, Instagram in 2 languages, Twitter in 5 languages, and Pinterest in 2 languages also. In each language, there is sensitivity and to the words and to the culture, and we need to be very strict. We need to be very careful and all the time check and each post and each tweet that they are both historically accurate and also suitable to the relevant platform. It's like a huge octopus that we need to manage, actually few octopuses that we need to manage in super professionalism and sensitivity all the time. We create from Yad Vashem's collections, from all Yad Vashem's collections, and the information accumulated and gathered at Yad Vashem, and the knowledge, the scholarly research and educational knowledge, and informative and emotional knowledge, we customized content to the various platforms, to the many channels in different languages. And then what we do that we share them around historical events. For example, the November pogrom, we just marked a few days ago. Like in Twitter and other social media platform, and each is very according to the platform itself. But the bigger challenge is how do we reach out to audiences which are not particularly specifically interested in the Holocaust? So what do? Is we look at the events that are taking place in the world and on the calendar, and we find events like, for example, the Olympics or other sports events like other sports competitions like Giro d'Italia or Tour de France, and we share content from our collections and from our databases that is relevant to this area of interest, like sport, and we tag them with the sport hashtag. And this way, people that are searching for sport coming across our content and exposing to it and relating to it. Or for example, days marked during the calendar, such as Women's International Day. We share stories and content about women, various stories about women during the Holocaust. The digital world is dynamic and changing at a dizzying pace. And the different platforms are changing the way, for example, their algorithms in a way that the way that they present their content on their platforms. And we need to be all the time with our finger on the pulse to update ourselves and to update, of course, accordingly, our activities and the way that we act. And I can tell you that we see a rise, a growth in all the parameters, both from interest from the audience and engagement. These are just few numbers of the Yad Vashem's interest and engagement of the crowd at Yad Vashem's content. Our division is also the brand manager of the organization of Yad Vashem. We're responsible for planning, building, consulting, producing, managing, and supervising various campaigns for all Yad Vashem's divisions. In all these marketing activities, it demands a high attention from us because of the sensitivity of the subject matter that we are actually marketing. And I'll give you an example. There is a new exhibition at Yad Vashem about photography during the Holocaust. And we were thinking, my team and I, what kind of images should we use to invite people to visit the exhibition? Billboards, banners throughout the city and in other platforms. There is a compelling, very strong images from this exhibition, which deals with photography during the Holocaust. But we decided that it will be not respectful or sensitive to use all these images, and we chose this image, an authentic image that gives respect to the people who are appearing at the image, but also sensitive enough not to put Holocaust images in the middle of the city, in the middle of the life of the citizens of Jerusalem, for example. So this is just one example of the sensitivity we need all the time to bear in mind when we market actually Yad Vashem's exhibitions or other projects. We are also responsible for all Yad Vashem's media relations in Israel and worldwide, including, of course, press coverage for the many events and the VIP visits. A recent example is the World Holocaust Forum, the world leader gathering at Yad Vashem last January. I know that January 2020, before the corona, looks like before counting BC, but yes, it happened this year. This was a very unique event with the participation of more than 50 leaders, 50 heads of states. And the main event, the main hall of the event was actually a huge tent that we built in Warsaw Ghetto Square at Yad Vashem. And this event couldn't accommodate the hundreds of journalists who wanted to cover the event and to from Yad Vashem, from the event itself. So we needed to meet this challenge, and we built a huge press center at the different building at Yad Vashem. This is just one room of the press center to accommodate more than 500 journalists who were at this press center broadcasting and covering this event. We simultaneously translated and broadcast from the event itself to the press center and actually to the whole world, the event. We needed to allocate room at the end to build infrastructure for all the studios, the live studio that all the outlets wanted to broadcast from the place. Security reasons, the roads to Yad Vashem were closed during the day of the event, which actually made the press center closed most of the day. And the press were locked down in the press center. So we invited survivors who speak various languages to give their personal story and be interviewed by the press throughout the day. And I can also tell you that we even brought some sofas in order for the survivors to have rest, because they also couldn't leave the place for hours and hours. And I can tell you that at the end of the day, they didn't use it. They were so eager to tell their story, and they literally jumped from one press outlet to another to share their story and to be interviewed. We also invited more than a dozen Yad Vashem expertise that were the whole day at the press center, giving background and interviews to the press during all the day. Also, all our digital department couldn't be at the main hall and do the work needed from the event itself. So there was a special location at the press center for the digital department to broadcast and tweet and post live in many languages and all the platforms during the whole time of the event. Another behind the scene short story I can share with you regarding this World Holocaust Forum event is related to the wreath laying ceremony, the memorial ceremony that was part of the event. There is an official photographer for each leader who usually has full access to wherever the leader is going. And of course, when the leader is laying the wreath, this is one of the photos he would like to take or need to take. But we couldn't, of course, have 50 official photographers in the main hall. So we built a special route behind the stage, secret route behind the stage, which was adjacent to a special room behind the scene, where all the 50 photographers waited. And by a signal for me to one of my member of my team, each one could go out to take the photo of his head of state and go back through the same route, this way to have the event go smoothly and still have their photo. So this is just part of the logistics that we had around this huge event, which was very challenging from many other perspectives, but was also very successful and important in a landmark event, actually, in the history of Holocaust commemoration. I would like now to share with you some of Yad Vashem's communication policy. We see ourselves, Yad Vashem, as an institution that laid on knowledge and research and documents and expertise. This is our basic approach towards the public and towards, of course, the press. We are a non-political organization. We don't have political agendas. We are a proud Jewish Zionist institution in Israel that documents, presents, teaches the historical truths of one of the darkest chapters in human history. We don't also react or comment regarding everything, but we first, when we're being requested or thinking to react or to comment, we first check the details, the facts, and the context before we relate to an issue. I can tell you that sometimes it delays our comment, which is not the perfect thing, to say the least, in media relations, but we found this to be preferable. Rather than hesitately commenting. These are also the things that keeps our reputation and even give more value and influence to a comment made by us. For example, we try very much not to comment when it's about using Holocaust in the sphere of art. If we decide to comment on this, it will be only when there will be a bad taste or insult to the memory of the Holocaust. I can share with you an example of a request we had from Germany, from a German newspaper, regarding a heavy metal German rock band that publicized a trailer to a new trailer to a new clip of a new song that included images of themselves wearing, as you can see, the uniforms of Camp Imminent with the Star of David, the Jewish Star of David on some of them. After we checked the information and the background of the style of this band, which is known as singing a protest song, I would say, against problematic chapters in German history, but also known in its very provocative and violent style, we decided to comment this way. I know that you can read my German comment here, but I would like to read the English one, the language that I know. Yad Vashem does not generally critique artistic expressions that evoke Holocaust imagery. We believe that respectful artistic representation of the subject can be legitimate as long as it in no way offends, belittles, or desecrates the memory of the Holocaust and is not used merely as a tool to gain the public's attention. Therefore, Yad Vashem urges artists to act responsibly and respect the memory of the victims of the Holocaust, as well as the survivors who endured the horrors of the era. I can also add that we many times consider if our comment will give more respect to what we are commenting on. If it's sometimes it will just call the attention to or raise the profile of what we're commenting on. And sometimes we will decide not to comment or will comment differently in order to not call the attention to the thing that we are commenting on. Also, we bear in mind that when we will give many times an answer or a comment to a journalist question, it will be presented to the public as if it's a public statement. And it's legitimate on the journalist to do that, but it's different than, and I don't have to tell you that an answer to a question is not like we are initiated a comment. So we take this into consideration before we deciding to comment or what we're deciding to comment. In our messages and in our comments, we try very much, we stay away from politicization. We don't justify or support candidates or politicians or leaders. And if we decide to react, it will be specifically regarding a say or an expression of this figure or another. And how can we without COVID-19? So gladly, if I can say the same words gladly in COVID-19 at the same sentence, gladly, Yad Vashem, when at the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic crisis, we found ourselves well positioned in the online world. We created already many digital assets, and we were already present and active on the online platforms, as I described to you at the beginning of my talk. And at the outbreak of the corona crisis, we were, my team and I, contemplating with ourselves, should people be interested in our content, in our subject matter, when their mind is all set in the more critical worries of the here and now. And we soon found out that the interest stayed and even grew. So we decided to reinforce our activity in all the platforms. And we even expanded the way that we disseminate our content to the crowd. We started to do Zoom lectures with our experts. We filmed behind the scenes sessions with also our scholars and experts. And we, for example, from e-newsletter that we are issuing once in 2 months to dozens of thousands, tens of thousands of people, we used to issue it once in 2 months, and we decided to issue it once a week with all these new activities that we do. And we're still doing that. And also, of course, we reinforced and expanded a lot all our social media activities in the same way that I showed you before. And we saw a rise and a growth in the numbers. We compared the first 6 months, for example, of 2019 to 2020, and we saw a rise in 20% more visitors to our website in the 6 months of 2020, according to, in compared to 2019, and a growth in the engagement on the social media, Facebook, 35% more comments, and Instagram, 82% more engagement, and Twitter, and all other platforms. But we also had the challenge that the coronavirus brought to our door, how to commemorate the Holocaust when there is a lot of limits to people, for example, to gather together around the Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah in Israel, for example, that was in April. One of the memorial ceremonies that is taking place at Yad Vashem in Israel and also throughout the world is name reading ceremony. People are gathered together and reading out loud names of Holocaust victims to commemorate them. And this was, of course, something that no one could do. So we issued a campaign, a creative idea that we called the public to film themselves with their mobile devices, reading names of Holocaust victims and filming themselves for 15-second video, names of victims that they know, family members, or we also uploaded to a friendly user, more friendly user platform to our website, names from our database for people to read them. And we call the public to share these short videos on whichever media platform they're active on with a hashtag in it, with I remembering Shoah names and remembering from home hashtags. And we accumulated at the end of the same day from all the thousands of people who shared these videos. And as you can see, one of them were the foreign minister of Germany. We made an online virtual names reading ceremony, which we uploaded to our website and shared on the same day. And this way people could participate in this memorial ceremony and commemorate the names of the victims. And I can tell you that we are seriously considering to continue this in next for years to come, even when we will be able to gather together and have these regular names reading ceremonies. So if I may summarize, the communications division challenges, which is even more important these days, as we see the rise in anti-Semitism and Holocaust distortion in many places, these challenges are both internal, to manage the non-stop growing needs of all Yad Vashem's division and department to market and expose their activities, projects, and programs to Israeli and global audiences. And on the external front, our challenges are to deliver Yad Vashem's mission and message in both accurate, respectful, and balanced way, yet engaging and relevant to the public in this fast-changing world. And I would like to finish with a quote from one of our Instagram followers, which I find personally touching. She wrote, "I visited Yad Vashem a few years ago and cannot find the words to express how I felt. For me, visiting is a compelling duty for every single human being. But what you're doing here is even more. It is huge. You bring memory in everyday life, and then again, everyday life becomes a memory. Reading you daily makes me eager to live, makes me fight to become the person I want to be. Thank you." And I would like to thank you. Yes, that's also adjusting to the digital, to the coronavirus and the digital era. And yes, I can tell you that a lot of people say that, what you say. We thought we know a lot, and each time visit and we learn more. And I can tell you, even people at Yad Vashem, we say the same. We all the time learning more and more. And Professor Israel Gutman, the late Professor Israel Gutman, which was one of the biggest scholars of the Holocaust and also Holocaust survivor himself, said that the Holocaust is like a huge mountain. When you're getting away from that, you see the mountain more and more. You see how it's big. And he would say that he learned more and more every time, that there is now, it's an endless to learn from and to explore. And also each generation look at it in a different angle and gives it a different perspective and bring its different perspective to it. So I think it's really, I can tell you Stephan participated, I think, in 3 seminars already. And each time I see him like that, listening to the people. And each guide guides the museum differently, even at Yad Vashem. Even if you did a guided tour, coming again, not to say the new and changing exhibitions, temporary exhibitions that we have, but there is always something new to see and to learn. Also in our websites, as you see, I invite you all to visit Yad Vashem's German website, of course, and follow us on our social media in German.
Yeah, I know that you're a skilled spokesperson, but now you have a wish. You can order something from the Germans. I don't mean the German Freundeskreis, the German Friends of Yad Vashem, but if you have a wish you can ask it for us to come to. For example, every A-level class in Germany is coming to Yad Vashem once, or something else. Every teacher in Germany, every teacher to come in Germany has to come to Yad Vashem, whatever you dream of. Then,
oh, I have a lot, not just the Germans. I have a list. Yes, we would like, first of all, that every, if you're talking just Germans and Austrians and Swiss, and because I see we have here more just German, I think it's, I think everyone needs to, if you're coming to Israel, of course, to visit Yad Vashem. But I think that I would like people to at least, again, visit Yad Vashem's website, explore yourself and surf in Yad Vashem's website and learn and read the stories, learn and accommodate yourself with that and make yourself know more and also sensitive more to this subject and tell others how this is important, because I think our subject matter is relevant to the audience, to Jewish people, but also to non-Jewish people. There is, from the particular story of the Jewish people and of the Holocaust, you can have so many universal meanings which are relevant and important to us, to our generations. And yes, I would like to spread the world, as I say, spread the word to the world, and whoever can join us and support us. Of course, supporting Yad Vashem, doing our job. We need not just nice and smiles. We need also this support, and each support, as you mentioned, Dagmar, the Edelson. There is small support and huge support. All these counts and all these accumulate to a very important way for us to do our work. And I invite all of you to join the German and Austrian and other French societies of Yad Vashem. Freundeskreis, I think I'm saying it right. I try to learn how to say it. Thanks.
even if we don't come to Yad Vashem in person, we all can visit Yad Vashem every day.
Exactly.
The every event you have, we can visit, we can attend, and I can surely recommend every event.
I can say that usually before Corona, Yad Vashem had around 1 million last year, 1 million visitors a year from all around the world. And Yad Vashem's website had the last year, for example, we will have more in 2020, 5 million visitors. And I'm not talking about the millions of millions that are exposing to our content through the social media. So yes, and especially now after Corona, I think we realize that visiting is very important, and the experience of visiting, it's not something that you can replace, but it's still, you can be part of something and learn and visit and experience through the digital world in all these various ways, and that we are now even having more and developing, as you saw, as I explained at the beginning of my talk.
Yes, famous words by that wonderful spokeswoman of Yad Vashem. I hope to see you soon. And you're always welcome to Germany, to German friends of Yad Vashem, and we'll see you again. I do hope so in a short time. So, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ruby.
As you all know, I'm very, very keen that we always stick to the exact 1 hour. We've done it brilliantly, thanks to our fantastic moderator who's moved away from me now. We're obviously good friends because we were sitting close to each other despite the current Corona restrictions. I would like to thank our fantastic moderator, Stephan, for the great job that he did, the energetic questions that he asked. I would like to thank Iris for your fantastic presentation. It was really, really insightful, lots of very, very important messages. I would like to thank Lena and Margaret in this office who have run the whole series and are truly behind the scenes. And finally, I want to thank all of you for being patient with us, coming through this series with us, being loyal, understanding the mission, wanting to know more, and also listening in German, in English, which I know is a really, it doesn't go without saying. It's a great gift that you are willing to listen to this series in English. And I'd like to thank you very much and wish you a really nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Ruth and Stephan. Bye-bye.
Thank you.